Top U.S. farm export to China is soybeans. Fox 6's Ashley Sears shows us the impact right here on the Badger State.
If you're a large corporate farm, an adjustment period may mean one thing. If you're a small to medium-sized family farmer, it may mean something completely separate.
Soybeans, America's top farm export to China, are more than just a crop. They're a symbol of the deep economic ties between two global powers. But in 2025, those ties are fraying, and nowhere is that impact more visible than right here in Wisconsin, the Badger State. Fox 6's Ashley Sears brings us the story. For large corporate farms, this may just be a period of painful adjustment, but for small and mid-sized family farms, it's something else entirely. Survival. What hit American agriculture this year wasn't a storm, a drought, or a pest outbreak. It came from policy decisions, from tariffs, from a trade war that misfired so badly it broke a system once respected across the globe. As of June 1st, the United States' mighty agricultural export engine is seizing up. Officials call it a disruption. Headlines say it's a slowdown. But to the farmers who live it every day, this is collapse. Sorghum exports to China have plummeted by over 94%. Soybean sales are expected to fall by 20%. Corn exports to Mexico, a vital market, are now under threat. Long-standing trade partnerships are dissolving, and America's once dependable buyers are walking away. This isn't a blip, it's the beginning of something massive, something dangerous. And Washington, it seems, isn't ready. Before we dive deeper, hit that like button to support the channel and help more people understand the stakes. Let's talk sorghum, a grain rarely in the spotlight but essential to thousands of American farmers. In 2024, China bought 1.4 million metric tons. In 2025, just 78,000. That's a 94% free fall. A year ago, China accounted for 90% of US sorghum sales. That entire market is gone, rerouted to Brazil thanks to retaliatory tariffs and changing global loyalties. Soybeans, once the pride of American agriculture, are now bracing for a devastating blow. Analysts predict exports could drop to just 1.5 billion bushels. That's not a slowdown, that's a rupture. In the soybean heartland, Illinois, Iowa, Indiana, the warning signs are flashing. Fewer contracts, more unsold crops, and growing unease. Then there's corn. Mexico buys over a third of America's corn exports. Now they're exploring new suppliers and floating tariffs in response to rising US trade pressure. As a result, corn is piling up, unsold, unwanted, and increasingly unprofitable. But it gets worse. Even when crops leave the farm, farmers are still losing money. Why? Because the same policies choking exports are also inflating their costs. Fuel, fertilizer, equipment, everything needed to grow the food is more expensive. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, stay informed. This affects us all. Let's break this down further. The US has slapped Canada and Mexico with 25% tariffs. China is responding with up to 15% tariffs on $21 billion in American agricultural goods. Soybeans, beef, pork, wheat, cotton, you name it. This is full-scale economic retaliation, and US farmers are stuck in the crossfire. This isn't about isolated losses. It's a systemic unraveling. Last year, the US exported more than $190 billion in agricultural products. That number is now in free fall. Every major commodity, soy, wheat, dairy, beef, corn, is in trouble. Even fertilizer, the lifeblood of farming, is caught up in the chaos. 85% of US potash comes from Canada. With new tariffs, that essential resource is now significantly more expensive. The ripple effect is global. In South Korea, exports are down. Their government is stepping in to protect its farmers, offering aid and reworking trade routes. Meanwhile, countries once dependent on US food, from Asia to Latin America, are turning to Brazil, Argentina, and Europe for their agricultural needs. And here at home, farmer confidence is shattering. The American Farm Bureau warns that competitiveness is slipping away. The National Farmers Union says the damage to rural economies could be long-lasting, even permanent. Farmers are putting off equipment purchases. Some are skipping planting season altogether. One representative from the National Black Farmers Association put it bluntly: Farmers are calling, asking if they should even plant this year. In meat and poultry, U.S. exporters stand to lose $8 billion in international business. Canada, Mexico, and China, all critical markets, are backing away, and Washington still just talking. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins says aid is under consideration, but farmers have heard that before. The promised $28 billion bailout from the last trade war didn't fix the long-term damage. Worse, the USDA just canceled $218 million worth of Food for Progress grain shipments. A blow not just to sales, but to America's global goodwill.
Even the Federal Reserve appears out of step. While acknowledging that tariffs could push inflation higher, officials continue to downplay the long-term impact. But for the farmer with a barn full of unsold corn, this isn't short-term noise. It's collapse in real time. International markets are adjusting fast. The UK has opened up quota space for US meat, a potential $5 billion opportunity, but it's overshadowed by our own tariffs on British imports. Europe is stalling negotiations. India is locking down its markets. Brazil is ramping up. The US is losing ground. The clearest warning came in May. Traders dumped over 2 billion bushels of corn futures on the Chicago Board of Trade. Analysts now forecast a 27% surge in corn stockpiles next year. That's not just oversupply, it's economic panic. Over 9 million American jobs are tied to agriculture. If exports collapse, so do those jobs. This isn't just about farmers. It's about a food system that has powered America for generations. If trade routes stay closed and confidence isn't restored, the US won't just lose crops. It'll lose communities. It'll lose its place as a global agricultural leader. And here's the hardest truth. Once a market is lost, it rarely comes back. Nations like China don't rebuild trade relationships out of sentiment, only cost and reliability. Right now, the US offers neither. Global food trade rewards consistency, stability, and speed, but America has embraced unpredictability, and the world is responding. There's still a narrow window to turn this around, to rebuild relationships, to restore trust, but every day another buyer signs with Brazil or Argentina, and American goods fall further out of favor. This isn't alarmism, it's math, it's economics, it's reality, and unless action is taken, not next year, not next month, but now. This collapse won't just define 2025. It'll reshape the future of American agriculture.